Think in your mind, or you could chime in the chat. Do you prepare big, delicious meals every single night? Do you like to cook and be in the kitchen and do all of that? Thumbs up, yeah, no, I see some no's. Okay, well, why don't we do that? Maybe we're tired, maybe we had to work, no and no, and maybe we just don't have the time. So when you don't feel like cooking, what do you turn to? Do you turn to maybe some mac and cheese, Ichiban, takeout? My husband makes a mean bowl of cereal, so that's one thing that he tends to go to.
Hi everyone. So in my neck of the woods, he has turned blizzardy. And we already have about 1 inch of snow. And on a day like today, comfort food is a wonderful thing to have. So today I'm going to make an apple cinnamon oatmeal using food that I have from my own pantry here. So to start with, I'm going to start with the milk. I'm going to just start with some water and ice. So I have just over a cup of ice I'm just going to put in. And I have 3 cups of water. And then 3/4 cups of this instant milk. So it's just a nice little powdered milk from Thrive Life. It's great to use for drinking, eating, recipes. And I'm going to put it in a little splash of vanilla just because I can.
You know, Karen, I've never blended my milk. I've always just put it in a cup and I whisk it and do it that way. So this is the first time I've ever seen it blended, but it would make it cold fast.
Yeah, so it'll help with the ice. It's just more convenient this way. So I'll just be noisy for a second here. So let me show you this beautiful milk. Can you see that? So just easy to have. And the nice thing about that is I don't have to worry about milk runs late at night and buying extra things at the grocery store that I wasn't expecting. So it's really nice. And I don't have to worry about milk going bad in the fridge. So this is really convenient to have. And actually, right now the Thrive Life milk is on sale. So it's a great thing to grab. The apples actually come in a container like this. This is a pantry can, it's smaller. I'll just show you, they come as slices with the peel on. And they're great to snack on, but you can also put them in a lot of recipes. So to start with, I'm actually, let me back up here. I'm going to get some Thrive Life honey and put it in here. I'm going to add a little bit of water. And I'm going to put my apples. So I just kind of crumbled these up in my hand and put them in. And then I'm just going to make sure it's all nice and soaked. And I'm just going to let that sit while I put my oatmeal together. So I just want this to get refreshed, nice and tender, and mix with the honey. And I'm going to pour it on top of my oatmeal. So I'm just going to set this aside for right now.
I just wanted to mention that when I scoop the apples out of the can, I love dipping it in peanut butter, just like that. The dry fruit, or even taking the dry broccoli or whatever out of the can, dipping it in hummus, and you have that crunchy chip, but it's like healthy version. I also want to show you, where is it? There it is. Can you see the ingredients right there? Right there. Can you see that? There's like only one ingredient in this can. That is so great because there's no added salts, sugars, preservatives, and it's just clean, simple food. That's what I love about Thrive is their quality. We pick our produce at the peak of ripeness, which in turn has more color, flavor, and nutrition. And then it's flash frozen within a couple hours and then freeze dried and put into our cans with a 25-year shelf life. That's pretty awesome on the can unopened. After you open the can, I have chicken that's been sitting on my shelf for over a year and it's still totally fine. As long as no moisture gets into the can, it stays good right up until you use it. So fresh food dictates when you eat it. Thrive lets you choose. So you don't have to go into your fridge and be like, oh, I got to use up that broccoli before it goes bad. I just use it when I want it, which I love. Now we have this Nutrillock symbol. This is what that looks like, this Nutrillock symbol. What that means is we go through a 40-step process to ensure the highest quality, taste, and nutrition is in every can. So you're getting nothing but quality in the can, and you don't have to worry about that. So it's pretty great. And also, just want to let you know, we have meal pouches as well. This is one of my favorites. I love this meal, so I always have this one on hand. And these meal pouches have a 20-year shelf life. A pouch you could just toss into your camper or your backpack, and you could add water hot water right into the pouch, let it sit, and then eat it right out of the bag. Or you can make your own meals. You mix and match whatever you like. I have the sauce on the bottom, all the ingredients from the meat, the spinach, the mushrooms, everything is in here. So I could take a pot of water, boil a couple cups of water, dump this in, and just have a quick instant meal. My kids also take these for hot lunches. When they just want a hot lunch, they put this in a Ziploc bag, the meal that they like, and then they just add hot water from a thermos, dump it all together, and you have a quick hot lunch that's way cheaper than if you were to go buy it and have a ready-made meal. So
you mentioned meal in a jars, and I just want to show you how I have this oatmeal in a meal in a jar. So you can see my oats, my sugar and salt and cinnamon and apples on top. So one serving in here is really, really handy. Okay, so I have some water. It's starting to boil. I'm just putting in some oatmeal. And so you just need that in there for me, I like it about 3 minutes, not very long. And I have some cinnamon and salt. Everyone has those in their pantry, so I just add that. And I have some vanilla. I'm just going to add that in there as well. And then I'm just going to mix that up. And really quickly, I'm going to have a nice oatmeal. So this is just a 1 serving amount right here. Just get all that cinnamon mixed in okay. And these are regular old-fashioned oats. So they're a little healthier for you, less refined, but you can use any oats that you like. And really, when you're doing a meal in a jar like this, you can put anything in here that you want. You could have blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. There's a lot of different things you can put in there. So that's boiling pretty hard here. So while that continues to boil, I'll just show you my apples here. So they're starting to get soft, mixed in with the honey. Now you can just add this all in the pot with the oatmeal, but I want to be able to just put it on top just to kind of garnish it more. So it's getting nice and soft. It doesn't take very long at all.
let me know I'm not the only one that's ever bought the peaches and cream oatmeal in the pouches, the box of instant oatmeal. Please tell me someone else has bought those, right? Okay, my kids used to love those. But did you know there's actually no peaches in the peaches and cream oatmeal? It's actually apples flavored like peaches. Look at the ingredients. So you don't even really know what you're getting at the grocery store. Here, you know exactly what you're putting in your items. So I stopped buying that because I knew it was bad, but I mean, it's a better alternative than like Fruit Loops, but I didn't realize that I wasn't even getting peaches in my peaches and cream oatmeal. Just food for thought I thought I'd share.
Almost ready. So I usually like it a little bit thick, and then I put a little moat of milk around the edge. So I'll show you right away. Here, I'll dish it up. So there's the oatmeal.
I'm making mayonnaise. I know that sounds really simple and easy, but mayonnaise is something I use for so many things, from dips and sandwiches, and I started making it at home a long time ago, but then I'm like, I'm gonna experiment and use my Thrive eggs instead of fresh eggs because I have it all the time. So I'm going to show you how I make mayonnaise. It really is that easy and it's not scary. Although I have failed at it many times because I threw it all into a blender and you have to add the oil at a certain amount. And then I found with a stick blender, it's no fail every time. But I'll give you a few pointers just to make sure. Now with this, if you're more of a Miracle Whip fan, my husband is, he likes that sweetness, you could add a little extra vinegar and a little sugar to it and you have more of a Miracle Whip instead of mayonnaise, okay? Just keep that in mind. I will give you the recipe of what I'm doing, but I'm just going to tilt my camera so you can see. Right here, I have water already pre-measured because I'm going to add 1 egg. Now, this is the older can just because I have boatloads of everything, so I'm still using my older can, but this is what the eggs look like. It's just a powder, okay? So 2 tablespoons of egg powder equals 1 egg. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of egg powder and 3 tablespoons of water. So I already have the water measured out, so you don't have to watch me do that. But here's my egg, okay? It's already in here. Now, I do want to tell you, our eggs, I even toss my eggs, sorry, I'll show, there we go. Now you can see me talking to you, not just my lips at the bottom of the screen. So eggs actually are, I throw these into smoothies because these are already cooked eggs. These eggs are kind of like they're scrambled, put into a chamber that is sprayed. It's sprayed into a really hot chamber that dries it and cooks it all at the same time. And so what falls to the bottom is eggs. So you can eat all the cookie dough you want and not have to worry about raw eggs. It's pretty awesome. So I'm going to tilt this. Now with this, you can use this into scrambled eggs or into baking. I love using it in baking because I just add the dry mix and then I add the extra water for the wet mix. And then I put it all together. So you don't have to make it like this before you use it in baking. So I have my 1 egg, and you could use fresh. I like using my Thrive. And then I'm just going to take a little scoop of mustard. Now, if you don't like mustard, you don't have to add it. Oh, there it is, and it just stays on the side. Okay. So a little bit of mustard. I like Dijon, but you could use any mustard you like. I do a little splash, which is about a tablespoon of vinegar. That's about a tablespoon. Now, you can also use lemon juice or lime juice if you prefer to the vinegar, okay? And then a little bit of salt. You put about, I don't know, a half a teaspoon of salt. If you want more, add more. If you want sugar for your, what is that, Miracle Whip, you could do that too. So I have all my ingredients, and then I just take the oil and I add it in. Now this is 1 cup of oil. So just remember 1 cup of oil to 1 egg, okay? I put it all in. Now, this is where the key is. Use a little stick mixer or whatever you call these, and you put it all the way to the bottom. This is the key because you're not mixing it all together at the same time. It will separate. To make sure it does it properly. Now, I hope my blender's as quiet as Karen was, but I will start mixing starting from the bottom. Once it starts getting solid, then I slowly start lifting it up, okay? I'll let you know that's what I'm doing, but here I go. Keeping it to the bottom, mixing it well, and then slowly start lifting as you go. It's getting quick. Okay, that's it. So did you see how I just started from the bottom, let it mix really good, because if you go right to the top, it'll separate. Look at how thick and like whippy and mayo-y that is. It's like so easy. So I'll just take this, I will scoop it into my jar, and you don't need to watch me do that, but this is what it is, and it's that easy, just with Thrive eggs. It's really so easy. So
Oh, whippy and mayo-y. I'll have to write that down and quote you.
yes, so I hope you guys will give that a try. It just might help. I know that sometimes I always buy at Costco, and I used to buy the huge tubs, and then I'd look at all of what's in it. I like to be able to pick my avocado oil, or you could do it with olive oil, or you pick whatever oils you want to do it with. So you can make it healthier just by picking healthier oils. Or if you just want safflower or whatever oil you want, that works too, anything. So it is that convenience, and you could do it from home. And if I could do it, you could definitely do it.
I pop on for just a second.
Absolutely. Yep.
So sorry about that. It's just not my day. My camera overheated from the stove and it emergency shut down. So things happen. But so sorry about that. But I just want to show you quickly. Here's my apples. I'm just going to scoop them up and put them on my oatmeal. And just look how pretty that is. It's mixed in with the honey. And then you just have this delicious comfort food. Just, you could even sprinkle some nuts on that. And just enjoy wonderful comfort food. Easy at home, even if the power goes out.
Yes, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
And you know what, that mayo that you were talking about being so much more convenient and that you could choose your ingredients, it's also a heck of a lot cheaper. So, I mean, depending on the oil, it could be more expensive, but I love making my own mayonnaise. Okay, so you can hear the sizzling here. Sorry, I decided to get a little bit of a head start. I am making fajitas. So I looked at the list of things that were on sale, and I thought we got those nice big chunks of chicken. So I am making chicken fajitas. So I'm going to lower this. Hopefully, let me just, I'm going to use two hands so I don't drop the phone in it. Okay, is that good? I actually sliced up an onion and put that in. I wanted to get a little head start, and then I've got some sliced, just half of yellow pepper, and I'm going to put in half a red pepper. And okay, so what fajitas are basically is the meat and the peppers and the onion. That is a fajita, and whatever kind of meat, just depends on whatever you want to do. So what I've done is I have refreshed already the chicken. These are the seasoned chicken slices. Look how big they are. Like they are, and I refresh it in chicken broth. So just I use our bouillon, little bit of water, and I just leave it there for about 20 minutes and it's going to be fine. So right now I've got a little bit of a head start with the onions and the peppers. The onions actually are a little bit toastier than I outsmarted myself. They're a little bit doner than I would like to have had them. But I'm just going to put the meat in. Normally when you're making fajitas, it's all about the meat, right? It's all about cooking the meat first and then the other stuff. But this way, the meat is already cooked. And it's already refreshed. So all I'm doing, and I see the rest of the water in there, because I am going to, just because I can, I'm going to add other vegetables. Are you getting steamed out there? Not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to add, I do have some freeze-dried green peppers. So look at that. Nice. Am I even showing it right there? I can't see where my camera is. Anyway, so I've got the green peppers. I'm going to just add those. And I just happen to have some fresh ones. So I used some fresh, but I didn't have as much red as I would have wanted. So that is no problem. I have some freeze-dried red peppers too. I'm going to just throw those in. And I like to use the red peppers in a lot of things just to add a nice color. And I'm always about putting extra vegetables in whenever I can. The flavor that I'm going to go for, the typical fajita flavor, has got the seasoning. I mixed my own seasoning. And it has got, so that's it right there. And in there, I've got onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, smoked paprika, cumin, pepper, salt, and a little bit of sugar. So, okay. So I'm just going to put a tablespoon. Actually, I think I might do more because I've got quite a bit of peppers in there. So I'm going to do almost a tablespoon of seasoning in there. And then I'm gonna put some lime juice. Now, if I didn't have any lime juice, then I would be putting in the limeade powder, but I do have lime juice that I got a whole bunch of lime, whenever I get a whole bunch of limes, then I just juice them all and I put it in the freezer. So that, I'm gonna put in about 1/4 cup of lime juice. And then just stir it up. And like I say, I'm always looking for extra vegetable, I'm not looking for the vegetables, I'm looking for opportunities to use the vegetables. I just want to get all that seasoning all mixed together. And I have got some green beans here. These green beans, they're almost my favorite. I think of all the vegetables, no, the peppers too. I don't know. I guess I have 10 favorites. To eat these raw, like what Kathy said, dip that in hummus or just eat them like that. They're delicious and they're so quick to refresh. Just even a little bit of moisture that I've got in there is going to refresh it. And when I was looking for my beans in my pantry, I found my asparagus. So we're going to put asparagus in, and asparagus will refresh even quicker. And I'm not going to add a whole lot of other liquid because I don't want it to be. If I was going to put this on rice, if I didn't have, I have some tortillas, but if I didn't, then I would just add some more liquid and put it in some a slurry of cornstarch, and then I would serve it on the rice and have like a fajita sauce. Okay, so I'm going to turn that down because that's done. Talk about color, eh? Isn't that nice? If I was also going to put it on rice, I probably would put maybe some peas in there too, but I don't want any peas in my tortilla because that'll just fall out. So that's it. That is done. I'm going to have that just sit for a few minutes so I can show you a few other things that kind of went into that. A fajita is a Mexican flavor. If I didn't want that Mexican flavor, if I wanted like a Greek flavor, I would have refreshed the chicken the same way, but I also would have put in some lemon juice. So lime goes with Mexican in my mind, and lemon goes with Greek or anything Mediterranean. So I would cook the meat the same way, and then I would put it in a tortilla the same way I'm going to do this, or flatbread. But then I would put in some tzatziki. So let me just show you. I make my own tzatziki. I love tzatziki. And the reason I started making it is because sometimes I wanted it, and I used to buy it all the time, but then you always had to run over to the store to buy it. So once I learned how to make it, then it is so, so easy and wonderful. Really, all that's in here, I did this before, it's yogurt. So it's plain yogurt, just a nice thick yogurt, like a Greek yogurt. I've got some garlic in here. I've got lots and lots of dill. And then the thing that makes tzatziki is cucumbers. Lots of cucumbers. When I used to do this before Thrive came out with freeze-dried cucumbers, then you were shredding the cucumbers, then you have to squeeze them and you have to get all the liquid out, because if you don't, you're going to have runny tzatziki. Well, now this is so very, very small, already chopped up, beautiful. I'm going to just put that right in that tzatziki, and then I'm just going to stir it up. And this does not have nearly as many cucumbers as I want. So I'm going to put some more in, but I won't make you have to watch me do that. Anyway, I'll put in as much cucumbers as I possibly can and still keep it the texture that I want it. And then what I would do is I would put the chicken on the tortilla, I would put that tzatziki on top, and then I would put on chopped lettuce on top of that, and that would be that. So right now, we're going back to the fajita. All right, so I made these last night, so I got to make them the size that I wanted. So really what I would do to serve these, I'm just going to scoop a little bit on, and then I'm going to put in a little bit of guacamole, which I had in the freezer. And then normally I would put in sour cream, but my sour cream's over there and I'm over here. So I'm going to put in that tzatziki. So, whoops, I just spilled it. So
So that's it. That's fajita. Like, how easy is that? And for me, that's wonderful because I don't like to cook raw meat. I don't want to chop it. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to do anything with it. So I love that that meat is already cooked and all I have to do is refresh it. So I'm going to put that down and let me show you one other thing. When I was making this fajita seasoning, then the garlic powder and the onion powder, let me show you how easy that is. So I don't buy garlic powder. I don't buy onion powder because what I do, so I take the freeze-dried onions and I just use the mortar and pestle. And really, it's the easiest thing in the world to do, just to have a little bit of onion powder, just smash it like that. And then you have onion powder and you know exactly what's in there. And that is how easy it is to make fajitas. Chicken fajitas or chicken, I call them Greek tacos with the tzatziki on it. And that's it. I'm done.
I love that, Cindy. That's awesome. And I love that there was no waste. That's one thing with Thrive, you save because you're not wasting money. Did you know that an average grocery budget between 35 and 40% goes straight to the garbage? That's about $2,000 a year. I know sometimes we have good intentions of using those raspberries up or the green onions that we had a recipe for and forgot them and they were slimy, or spinach or mushrooms. Those things all go bad so fast. Thrive just sits on your shelf until you're ready to use it. Crispy and yummy and perfectly good. So it is, you save on not wasting. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. And when I buy, if I see peppers, I'm such a sucker for peppers, and you buy half a dozen peppers, and I have all the good intentions in the world, but I don't end up using them all. I'm usually trimming stuff off and then throwing it out, and that drives me crazy. So you're right. No waste with this.
Hi, everybody. Today I'm making a casserole. When I saw that the specials included chicken and green beans and the instant rice, my mind instantly went to a chicken and green bean bake that I've been making for years. And I've made a couple of swaps, swapping out some of the perishable ingredients that it called for with Thrive Life ingredients, because then I know that I always have those ingredients on hand. I mean, we all probably either have been through something where, you know, we had to use the food that we had on hand in our house, or we know somebody that's had to do that. So, you know, power outages and storms and things like that. So I love not only that we have this food in our home, but I like to put things together for complete meals so that I know that I can make the kinds of meals that my family enjoys. So anyways, let's get started.
Okay, I've got all my ingredients laid out here, and you can see it's a pretty simple recipe. I've got my freeze-dried chicken right here. Now, these are Thrive Life's chicken slices. This is my absolute favorite of the chicken that they have because you get such nice big slices, and these refresh back like just such a beautiful texture and such a wonderful flavor. I've got 1.5 cups of the chicken slices here. With freeze-dried food, you can always, if you have larger pieces and you want smaller pieces, you can very easily break them. You know, with your fingers, it's very easy. So if I had a choice to go between a larger cut item and a smaller cut, I would always choose the larger. Next, I've got some cream of mushroom soup, a can of cream of mushroom. I've got some instant brown rice here. This is 1.5 cups of the instant brown rice. Now, instant rice is just rice that has been cooked and then dehydrated so that it cooks up a lot more quickly in your recipe. I think that instant rice is a wonderful choice for your emergency pantry, for your food storage, because it cooks up so much more quickly. So it's going to use a lot less fuel if you're cooking without power. Next, I've got Thrive Life's freeze-dried green beans. This is also 1.5 cups of the green beans. And then I've got 3 tablespoons of instant milk powder in here. That is going to be making up 1 cup of milk. And I've got a pack of crispy onions back here. These are French fried onions. So you see some familiar ingredients here that might be ringing a bell. I've got a lot of the classic ingredients of a green bean casserole. And that's what I really love about this dish, is it takes the ingredients of the green bean casserole, which is a dish that it's a traditional holiday dish that I have a lot of warm, fuzzy feelings about. And it adds a protein and a starch and turns it into a complete meal. And so I really love that about this dish. I do have a 9x13 pan here all ready to go. I've pre-greased this a little bit with some cooking spray, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I honestly think cooking spray is a little overrated. I don't always do it. I'm actually going to mix this up right in the pan. You could do it in a separate bowl, but I like to save the dish and not have that extra dish to wash, and this always seems to work pretty well for me. And next, I'm going to mix up the instant milk. I'm making a cup of milk here. I don't have to be super careful about how much water I put in because I am going to put the rest of this water into the casserole. So to be perfectly honest, I really could just dump that milk powder right in and not even mix it up ahead of time. But I am going to mix it up ahead of time and just pour it right in. And I'm just going to whisk this together just to start getting this blended. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some of these other ingredients. So I'm going to add in my rice, my 1.5 cups of rice, and just kind of mix this a little bit. I'm going to add in my green beans and my chicken. And just get this blended. Now this recipe actually it's adapted from a recipe called Swiss chicken and green bean bake. And the Swiss comes from the fact that it originally called for whole raw chicken breast to be pounded out flat and then some Swiss cheese, shredded Swiss cheese sprinkled in the chicken breast and rolled up jelly roll style and then laid on the top of this casserole and baked. And the rice and green bean mixture was underneath. I did that once. And I found that was a giant pain in the tuchus. So, and I honestly don't really like dealing with raw meat. So I never did that again. So this is a much easier way to basically get the same thing because I really found that I did not notice. I'm just adding the rest of this bottle of water. This is a 16.9 ounce bottle of water. I found that I really didn't notice that Swiss cheese, and that was a lot of work for very little or no reward. So I kind of adapted it and did it like this. And if I were going to do it with fresh chicken breast, I would not do the pounding and rolling and all of that. I would just lay them across the top of the casserole. Now I had these French fried onions. These are going to be a topping. They're going to go on the top and they're only going to go on for the last few minutes so that they don't overcook. So I'm going to cover this with foil right now. And I'm going to pop it in a 350-degree oven for 50 to 55 minutes or until it's pretty much done. And you're going to know it's done because the rice and the meat and veggies will have absorbed pretty much all the liquid and it'll be nice and firmed up and a great texture for a casserole. Now, as this bakes, I do like to give it at least one stir. Bring the edges into the center because the edges are going to cook fastest, and make sure that all the chicken and green beans on the top get their chance to be down in the liquid. Now that it's been 55 minutes, I'm going to take this out of the oven and just kind of give it one more little stir. And I'm going to just test things and make sure that the chicken is mostly tender. It does have to go back in the oven for, 5 to 10 more minutes and then have a little resting time at the end. Then I'm just going to take the French fried onions and put them over top. I am going to crunch them up a little bit first so they make a nice topping. And just sprinkle them all over. And now it's ready to go back in the oven, uncovered this time, for 5 to 10 more minutes, just to crunch up the onions and finish cooking the casserole. All right, that was in there for about 10 minutes. And look at how toasty and sizzling that is. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes to cool off and then serve up a dish and try it. Okay, let's give it a try. See how beautiful that chicken comes back. And this, I love how this is a complete meal all in one. We've got our starch because we've got our rice, we've got our protein with our chicken, we've got vegetables with our green beans. So this is a complete dish all in one, which is great for emergencies as well. That is good. Very comforting and very filling.
So good. And I love how you said warm, fuzzy feelings. Food really does invoke those feelings, like the comfort food. And it's great that you have that. And especially in emergency situations. So you can really just have that convenient, and being prepared gives you that peace of mind, which I love. And you're like extra prepared by having all of the things you need for that meal. I never thought of that. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Now we have a few words, a testimonial coming from Connie Hodgkin. I'll turn the time over to you.
So I have been buying freeze-dried food for years. In fact, we opted not to get wedding rings when we got married almost 50 years ago, and we bought food storage instead. And I have always bought it and stuck it in the back of my closet or in the back of the pantry, wherever, and not used it. And it was just a couple of years ago, and I said, now I just need to figure out how to use this stuff. And the lady recommended a couple of YouTube videos for me to watch. And I'm like, I never thought of that, being able to use it right now and being prepared and going. And that has been such a blessing in my life. I take care of my mom, lives with me, and she's got dementia moving into Alzheimer's. And I cannot go out of the room when she's there. And it's hard to even turn my back sometimes. So I have made up a bunch of the meals in jars or Mylar bags or Ziploc bags. And I can just stand there and grab one and throw it in the pot, get the water hot, put the lid on, and go and take care of her. And we have a delicious, nutritious meal without the waste and without the all of the prep work and all the dishes and stuff at that time. So I can prep things while she's sleeping and get everything ready to go. I love it. And we use it on a daily basis now.
Love that, Connie. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I love that you put your money towards food storage instead of wedding bands. You were focused and determined. I mean, you can't eat your wedding bands. That makes sense. If you needed it, I'd much prefer have the food. It'll be worth more. But thank you for sharing that. That's so great to hear. So now that we saw ways of using the food, we want to just mention how you can get the food. So we have what's called a delivery service. Now, this delivery service is basically your own little account. You purchase what you want, when you want to, and you get it shipped directly to you, which is so great. I like picking on the monthly specials, just like we focused on this month. Every month, there's different monthly specials that you could choose from, and you add those into your delivery. And if your order comes to $100 or more, you qualify for free shipping, and it gets shipped right to your door. If you need to skip a shipment once a month because you're like, you know what, I just don't need anything this month, you skip that month and then you continue to the next. So it's so easy to control. You have your own personalized account, and I love getting groceries right to my door. It's so great. Now you're getting wholesale prices as well when you purchase through the delivery. So that's just an extra bonus. Now my favorite way of getting the food is by being a consultant. Now you can make some money. We have different consultant starter kits that you can choose from, everywhere from $40 to $200. So depending on what works for you, you basically get your own little kit, and then you can share here and there, and you'll get a kickback. You'll not only get free food, but you'll see commissions as well. So because when I first started, I was like, okay, I know being a consultant is the best way to get the food, so I'll buy a kit, but I'm just going to buy for myself. And I did that. I was using the food. I was putting the food and snacks in my kids' lunches. My one son loved pineapple, so I always had to make sure I put pineapple in his lunch. Well, he took his lunch to school, and of course they're eating and the teacher's walking around, and the teacher's like, what is that? Now, granted, this was like 14 years ago. So at the time it was like astronaut food. So it was weird and it was cool. And so my son shared some pineapple with his teacher, and his teacher reached out to me. And when she first did, I was like, oh no, what did he do? I thought he was in trouble. I'm like, oh no. She goes, no, he's not in trouble. He actually shared his pineapple with me, and it was amazing. How do I get my hands on that? So I was like, well, I shared my website, and I said, here you go. And and she bought. That was one of my first sales. I was pretty excited, and my son actually did the sales. Because I was using the food and he shared the food, we ended up selling the food. So we got a kickback from that, and it was that easy. I was like, okay, if I love it, it's hard not to share it and talk about it. So if that's you, then maybe being a consultant is something that you'd want to look at.